I believe life is about being on a wellness adventure, and since 2017, I've been on a quest of redefining how to create an unmistakably high quality life. It's involved relearning my primal instincts, reclaiming the power of unshakable belief in myself, revamping what is in my kitchen from food to water, and rediscovering the practical wisdom in regular everyday moments. I'm hungry to expose how easy it is to live a vibrant and fulfilling life that is equally good for us and the planet. Here on the Isabelle Wellman Show, we weave the practical and the mystical to evolve into the highest quality versions of ourselves in order to lead a long-lasting ripple effect. Together, let's lay it all out on this wellness adventure. You are about to go on a wellness adventure or enhance your wellness adventure. Today is the first episode I'm recording since taking another large hiatus since my time of returning back from Greece. And I have a really important announcement to make as what I will be doing moving forward. Before so, I do want to ground us into that moment of the now. And I invite you, if it is safe for you to do so, to close your eyes and begin to breathe deeply into your body. Allow all of your muscles to relax. Allow yourself to get comfortable because comfort is queen and king. And notice how the air feels coming in and out of your nose, or if you may be congested, out of your mouth. Settle into your own space. I'm going to guide us through 3 rounds of long inhales and exhales. And I simply encourage you to do your best to not force, and whatever feels best for you to follow that. I'm simply a guide in this moment. I will be guiding us through 3 10-second inhales and 10-second exhales. Prepare yourself by taking one last round of inhale and exhale, and we'll begin. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and exhale 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exhale 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, last round. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Exhale 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Return to normal breathing. And notice how you are feeling, whether you are able to perform the 10 inhale and exhale holds, or if you found a comfortable inhale and exhale rate that made more sense for your body. Simply check in with what you are feeling. If you feel more relaxed, grounded, and present. If you're able to detach yourself from everyday chaos to be here now. I invite you to set your own intention, and I will share my intention for this podcast. My intention is to remind you and myself of the beauty and the fullness and the adventure we have as creatures, as humans, in physical bodies. And what I have learned from my hiatus from social media, from comparison, from being cluttered, from consumption, and from confliction in my life, and fully coming forward into trust and constantly telling myself many different quotes, yet anything that falls in line with you know best. Because our bodies, ourselves, know best for where we are at. And that is a big piece of the puzzle that I will be going forward with today. So, as you notice, there's a new cover art for the podcast. There is a new little slogan, a wellness adventure, the Isabelle Wellman Show. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you if you have been with me from day one in 2020 when I first released my very first podcast, or if you are new, welcome and thank you. I love evolution and I love watching ourselves grow, and I love how, although a lot of the time I have felt inconsistent with my life and taking action in certain things, I have finally found two things that I have stuck with since 2020, when I decided to stop solely working for other people and take it upon myself to figure out real business, finances, and what makes me feel my best. Because there are people in this world who love working in a hospital setting, or who love being a fixer upper kind of person, or flipping houses, or real estate, whatever it is that you do that you love and you're like, nah, this is it. That is what I'm talking about for me. And maybe you resonate. Maybe this will resonate in a way that makes sense to you in your own way, because you can form analogies just as well as I can. So, what the heck, Isabel? I believe in this life that we are on an enthusiastic adventure, and that we are innately charged by our own human hunger to constantly grow and connect and have fun. Because if we're not having fun, we are not going to continue doing the damn thing. And since 2017, when my life shifted and I began to really understand the deeper philosophy of life, I had a really intense hardship that I did not stand up for myself in. And I really burdened myself with heaviness and victimization from a decision I made almost 2017, 5-6 years ago now. And since then, I've been on this devoted wellness quest. And it's been inspired by authentic conversations on topics that include optimizing our health, integrated nutrition, strength training, psychology, sustainability, mindfulness, childhood trauma, energetics, living symbiotically with the land that we live on, and so much more. And of course, the doggos that I have in the background, you may hear barking, are always a part of the fun. And needless to say, I believe that I have made it where I am now because of my devotion to understanding and practicing, because we are always practicing, transparency, discipline, and for myself, unshakable belief in my integrity, in how I show up, in who I want to be, and how I must change my behavior in order to get there. What must change in my now so that I can become that person I see in my future when I close my eyes, when I sit in that guided meditation. This is the journey of self-actualization at its finest, and enhancing our wellness adventures is going to be a pivotal piece of upholding ourselves, healing ourselves, loving ourselves on the journey, on the path, the middle way. And today I want to emphasize and use my personal experience in the message that I want to share around creating a big shift and boycotting social normalities like social media and needing to be on social media to make a living for yourself. Because for everyone, that's not the case. And if you can hire a team to do it for you, fuck yeah, do it. The moment I get on social media fully again will be the day I have someone else posting it and taking care of that region of the business, because it is a very vital part and it is not to be consumed by. If we wish to live free, out of comparison mode, in that very cozy rest and digest aspect of our nervous system, and defying the other atrocities, such as what a perfect body looks like, or how we must show up each and every day, what people expect when we may not even be giving ourselves that level of quality in our lives. So, this is the wellness adventure. This is where we're going today. And moving forward, everything I touched on: optimal health, nutrition, strength training, psychology, childhood trauma, mindfulness, working with the land, personal relationships, all of these topics that I've been talking about, they're going to stay and be talked about with other pioneers and experts in the realm of holistic health, of nutrition, of wellness, of being outside, of having fun, of connecting with one another, bringing ourselves back to the land and connecting with Mother Earth. The most important things in life, I believe, belong to cycles that are constantly repeating themselves and where we see the result of it working. We do not always have to tweak and twist every new thing that comes into our life. Yet if we simplify and we come back into that homeostasis in our body, our mind, our soul, we listen to that fiery spirit within in an actionable way that is fucking realistic and logical. I am so through with the fluff. And for a very long time, I have been consumed by the fluff. And instead of being angry or frustrated at myself for being consumed by this quote unquote fluff, I've learned a lot. I have learned how to love myself. I've learned where I can be naive and jump in head first without doing enough research, where I have to show up with more responsibility. I have learned things about myself that I thought I would never learn in this lifetime. And I've learned real facts and real outcomes and the reality of what it means to take our lives and change, and not in the scary way, and not to just say it, not to just throw it out there and pretend like I know what I'm talking about, but to come back to my own experience, ask myself in the future if this is if it was my last day, is this what I want to be spending my time on? And if not, what needs to change? What needs to take place? What do I need to take action on so that I can say yes to everything that my time is going to? Because time is that illusion that we get to manipulate and perceive differently to either cultivate gratitude, cultivate the sense of urgency, cultivate hunger for growth or connection. And it's important for us to be able to put ourselves in those situations, in those environments, while being in a place of balance and homeostasis, without ripping our hair out or believing we need some guru to tell us what we have to do next. So, today we're going to talk about behavior, and I'm going to mention Alex Hormozi. I had to look at his name to make sure I didn't screw it up, but he is someone that I've become insanely interested by. He is an entrepreneur. He's a multimillionaire at 32. He started his first gym at 23. He was a millionaire by 27. He knows business, and he does not mess around with the fluff. I'm going to read 2 things from him. This is uncited, unread. This is just from the podcast I listened to with him on it recently. And he said something that made me laugh and agree, that so many people online are telling us that to manifest wealth, we have to have these elaborate practices or do all these things. Basically, jack off or masturbate to spirituality and getting ourselves ready to take action towards making more money instead of just fucking doing it. And it made me laugh so hard, but it hit so real in my body. Because for a long time, I was working on getting right with myself, which is a necessary part of self-love, self-growth, building that actualization. Yet, it's not going to make you money. And maybe you have certain things out there that are ready for people to buy, or you are promoting, or you are doing things that are constantly making you money. Then, yes, of course, these practices are going to amplify the action that you are already taking. But if you do not even have a plan, if you do not have some consistent strategy going on, if you do not have a realistic business plan, business path that you are operating with, a little team to keep you on track, goals, quarterly goals, things that are, real, tangible. We are getting these things done by these times, by these deadlines. Without any of that, what are we doing with our time? We are just prolonging work. We're prolonging the process. And then it's going to take another additional 2, 3, 4, 5 years before we will be where we wanted to be back then. And it's going to take a year or 2 of ridiculous work. And then that freedom is going to shine through, and we're like, wow, I can take my deep breath now, and I have time for this and that. And I'm going to still take risks, and I'm still going to make these little risks that I'm now perhaps paying someone else to do. I'm getting this time back. I'm not just going to masturbate with it. That's a great idea for a little bit of that time, but the whole time, make more use out of that time that you are paying to get back, so that that money you're putting in to saving time so that you can make more money with it, or make more progress, or take more actions, is going to amplify your entire process moving forward. And in order to move forward with this is the other thing that Alex Hormozi says. And this is a tweet he had on October 9th of 2022. But he says this in the podcast that I listen to, at least a few of them. And he states, I used to study a lot and thought I was smart. I was wrong. 2 definitions changed my life. 1, learning equals same condition, different behavior. 2, intelligence equals the speed of behavior change. So, if you want to be smart, you got to learn. If you want to learn, you got to change. And change is inherently one of the scariest and seemingly challenging parts of being a human being. Yet, I believe that we are the only ones who limit ourselves. So, there are so many free intellectual resources available to us today, everywhere, all over the internet, all over the libraries that are free of charge to use. There are people like Alex Hormozi, who has his 2 books that he has written on creating a irresistible thing to sell, and then how to market or promote that thing to sell. And he has both of those things free. I'm only saying this because these are things that have been in my sphere of my life for the past few weeks as I've been mulling over and reforming and reshaping how I approach where I'm going in my own life. And a lot of this has been involving my desire to have more in-person connection. Social media and I did not work out, and that is okay. Maybe it works out really well for you. I'm really excited for the day I have a team who can take what content I have and make something great out of it. To be able to afford a podcast studio that is up to date and better than my gorgeous bookshelf and little cactus plant here, and photography connection, and then my altar that's above my bookshelf. I'm excited for the day that I get to grow out of this. I'm excited for where I am going. And I know that there is a lot of action that needs to be taken now. And there's one product that I get to create to make all that action happen around that is going to save me time and allow me to put more effort into other baskets that are going to allow me to have that return on investment of time and of money, of resources. It's going to be a little bit of to move forward into the like my dear sister the other day, sharing in a group chat, moving into a home that has all the cozy amenities and comforts of a real home, of a luxurious home, and being really convicted in her sense of claiming she likes to live a little bougie and that she wants to live a little bougie, and that there is a clenching when it comes to spending the amount of money for the entire year, because she's able to do that at one time, which is fabulous. And knowing that, hey, it feels crunchy, yet it's going to expand us in these amazing ways. And she has 5 different things that she listed where it's going to expand her. She's a phenomenal teacher and guide. And that is just what this life is. It's constantly going, to expand into the, for myself, getting degrees. I mentioned this before the astrology series that I last recorded for you all. And I may have mentioned how I did not show up properly. I did not show up with integrity, with my conviction, with my acclaim of my job that I was being asked of when I went there, of the photographer, of taking on all of the tasks, and knowing where I could have been better beforehand, as well as during and after. For me, it was not believing in myself that I was going to make it while having already agreed. And that was that restriction of the financial availability. Then coming back the month after, I made it even with my bills. I made it even with everything. And the month after that, I exploded. I tripled my income for that month. That showed me, wow, Isabelle, you really do get 2 times what you give. And it's going to show up in different ways. We're all going to perceive it differently, but that is how I logically took the energetics of relationship and magnetism and the laws of the universe, because those are all very much apparent. But without the action, without the pursuit, without the initiation, without us holding ourselves responsible, then that doubling and tripling does not come to us, because we are not trusting ourselves. We are quitting before we even start. And I want to hone this in onto the subject of, boycotting the New Year's Eve resolution. First and foremost, y'all, I will still be talking about astrology here and there, yet I feel out of alignment with chatting about it like I used to. And that's okay. I still use it to look at my clients and to help me understand what might be going on with them, to tailor my questions and how I support them in their work. And I do not feel called to share about the new moon and the full moon and what's going on and blah, blah, blah. I want to give you that back. I want you to tune in with your body and go, what am I feeling right now? Can I sit down for a minute and take 3 inhales that are 10 seconds and 3 exhales that are 10 seconds and sit with my own body and feel into my body and trust that I know what is best for me in this moment and moving forward? I want to give that back. And that has been a big part of my own experience. Not listening to other people. And yeah, I love it. I love hearing what the sisters I connect with on a soul level have to say and what they are feeling and the intellect that they have to share with me. And I get to have it next door to my own intuitive feeling soul answer and just look at them both and go, with this extra information, what do I create out of this? But I do not just ignore my own intellect, my own intuition, my own soul's understanding, and disembody myself and just latch onto someone else's perception of stuff. That's literally the entire game of social media. And I cannot go on there and feel good about posting. I have tried. I've posted once since leaving in July. And then on my photography Instagram, it's not in alignment, and that is okay. So surrendering and letting go of what's resistant. I'm going downstream. I'm in my boat. I'm looking at it. I'm going to stop paddling against the current, doing things that aren't getting me where I want to go. And the more I do not resist, the more I let happen, the more that shows up and comes to me. And it's amazing. And I love it. And I get to reconfirm myself every time it happens. I trust. And I'm not quitting on myself, because if I don't quit, I can play the game. If I don't quit, I can keep moving forward. If I do not quit, I am going to make something out of this. Verse, when you quit, when you give in, when you have a tantrum about it, it is staying in the same behavior. And there is a piece of you that still needs to forgive yourself or anyone else outside of you that is involved in the emotional contract that you are not ripping into pieces and putting in the fire. Think about that. Anything that is related emotionally is a contract that you have control of ripping up. It's not easy, and it takes time, and you may have to rip it up more than once, but it's worth it. And it's going to fuel you, and it's going to transform you, and you're going to take the lessons with you and know what worked and what didn't, and just keep repeating the thing that worked, because that's going to keep working. If it worked once, it'll work again. But the things that don't work that you keep repeating is a waste of time. That's instant feedback. And with this whole New Year's Eve resolution I want to get back to, that is a societal normality of how we expect ourselves to operate. And to bring it back to what I was going to say in the beginning is that is Capricorn season. That is goat energy. And in the newsletter I'm sending out, I want to repeat this little spec I have written down. However, I have written the T on the NYE resolution is, because it happens during Capricorn season, we feel pumped up. We're ready. We're going to go. We're going to get things done. That's the energy of Capricorn. It's the workaholic on the bad end, the balanced CEO guru on the other. And it shifts after January 19th. And if you look at statistics, After the first and second week of New Year's Eve, more than 50% and then 80% of people fall off of their resolution. I believe, because I do believe in energy and the spiritual aspect of life, that energetic shift that is astrological is impacting us. We go into Aquarius season, and then we go into Pisces season. That's when shit's being let go and ended, and we're dropping the emotional baggage. Like, there's still work to be done in whatever we are working on. Then spring happens. The spring equinox comes forth, and we have Aries season, the true start of the year, quote unquote, due to the zodiac. Being in Aries, the first sign, rebirth, we are born, we are a child, we're in the physical body, and it's an amazing place to be. And as I talk about this, the body, it's interesting that we try to force ourselves to morph in the dead of winter. Y'all, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to connecting with the land and connecting to cycles, connecting with what is natural. One, it's the dead of winter. What do you feel like doing in the dead of winter? Maybe it's sleeping more. Maybe it's not waking up until the sun comes up or just before the sun rises at about 6:30, 7:30, give or take, depending on where you live. When I lived in Alaska, the sun kind of rose at 10 a.m. and it kind of set. It was more so a prolonged sunrise/set until 2 p.m. So depending on where you live, it's going to be different if you live in flatlands versus a mountainous town. It's going to be different. And that is up to you to remember how to care for yourself cyclically. Because when we come back into that rhythm and we give ourselves more time for rest and we cozy up and we eat heartier, fattier foods because it's cold out if you live somewhere where the ground freezes, or you're at least adding more beans or root vegetables to your diet if you do live in a place where it's semi-warm, but you still get a little bit of that chill in the air. That is what I'm talking about. And can you utilize citrus fruits to boost up your vitamin C levels and your energy levels? Can you make a homemade decomposted cleansing spray from that? Can you take the bones of the cow that you may be eating and make bone broth and then face cream with it and using every piece of the food and then giving it back to the earth when the time is ready, letting it decompose naturally, bringing our soil back to life? It's not that tricky when we tell ourselves we have the time to slow down. And when we give ourselves an extra hour per activity or task that we have. And, this is a give and take. We are not in the season of ramping up quick, fast action. We're in a time of slumber, hibernation, coziness, and not burning off 30 calories or pounds in a month once January 1st hits. It's one, not realistic, and two, unless you have a greater vision for where you're going and a plan of attack to help you in that slump, why let yourself down? And why listen to the societal normality, the patriarchal standard of a perfect body and needing to be in the perfect looking, keyword, body? Does it feel good for you? If it feels good, that's different. But if you're doing it solely because you feel pressured to change, pressured to be different, pressured to morph into something you're not, to starve yourself, to feel bad, to not feel good about exercise, you're doing it wrong. That is resistance. That is rowing your boat upstream and not seeing that you have 4 leaks in the bottom and you're not getting very far because the water's filling up. And eventually you'll drown. And eventually the New Year's Eve resolution will be out the window. And so changing behavior comes from taking what you have learned and actually applying it. Quickly coming back to Alex Hormozi because I'm fascinated by him and he is attractive. A girl will be a girl. We want to be, I want to be very clear that hit home run for me for the first time than ever before, whether I've heard anyone else say, in order to make use of what you've learned, you have to apply it. And then how to apply it and what that might look like for you, that is going to be different than you've ever done before. It sounds like I've heard that many times in the last few years, yet I wasn't quite ready. And I had things to go through. It's like an initiation. You have different stages and different tasks and little hurdles you must get over and conquer and show yourself and then gain your trust. And it's a slow start that way. If you're like me and you're kind of a slow starter, yet you know where you want to go, and it just takes time and experimentation to learn. I will tell you, I am so, so beyond that and so happy to share experiences, so happy to kick people in the butt and be that person, to be a little more aggressive, to be realistic, to embody my truth and respect your truth at the same time. And just let you know, like, hey, been there, done that in my own way. Maybe this relates, maybe it doesn't. Take it or leave it. But look at your life. Are the things you're doing working? And if not, what behavior have you not changed? I do want to share a piece from a book called Women Who Run with the Wolves. For there has been a lot in this book since going to Greece that has brought me great lessons, realizations, and reflections. I also want to go back very quickly to the New Year's Eve resolution and the body dysmorphia, body I have to change, exercise addiction, exercise forcing resolution analogy. And in this book, in this chapter, it is called the chapter of Joyous Body, the Wild Flesh. And this woman, Clarissa Pinkola Estes, PhD, speaks through symbolization, through tales, through so many different myths and analogies that is vital for any woman and man, but any woman out there. And this pertains to seeing our body as a vessel to transport us to where we want to go when we are taking action. And action that is moving the mark, and not action that is dancing around politely what we want to actually do, what we actually want to achieve. When people tell me they don't care about making money, I do not believe them one single bit. I used to be that person. I used to think, I don't care about the money. I just care about people noticing me. Well, let's look at that. Why do I want people to notice me? So I'm valid and worthy for what I offer, and then that's going to make the price I want them to pay worthwhile? That's interesting. So there's many ways that we can look at this, yet it's awesome to make money. Money does provide time. You can trade money for time. And if there's anything in this world I think more people want, it is time. The amount of clients I have that tell me they don't have enough time, I want to shake my head and just hug them, because you have time. You can manipulate time. You can morph time. You can perceive time differently. You can pretend that your day starts at 6 a.m. and ends at 12 p.m. And that's day one. But then you have day two starting at noon to 6 p.m. And then that day ends. And then you're from 6 p.m. until midnight. That's a third day. And then you sleep from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. I prefer a few more hours of sleep, but that would be a way to manipulate your mind, to change your behavior, and say you wanted to do a giant promotion and get your word of mouth out there, and you do something you've never done. You spend 5 or 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., 5 hours, 6 hours on promoting, reaching out to people, asking people for help. Hey, do you know anyone who would like this? This is my product. This is what I'm trying to do. If you have any feedback, if you want to give it a shot, please feel free to do so. If you can't, if you want to keep doing it, but maybe you can't afford it, a review would be great. There are so many ways that we can move forward in this. And I relate this a lot to business and success and moving forward with what we're creating, because that is where I'm at in my life. I'm at a stage of business focus. I'm heavily focused on business. Yet I'm finally realizing the real things that need to happen in order to make it come to fruition in the ways that I've been longing for. So, to wrap that up, I'm going to go back to this book and how the fire in our soul requires this physical vessel to do the actions. So this is what she writes, and this is going to take maybe a minute or two to read. The body in fairy tales. There are many mythos and fairy tales that describe the frailties in the wilderness of the body. The Greek Hephaestus, the lame worker or precious metals, the Mexican Harter, the double-bodied one, Venus born of the sea, the littlest tailor, who was ugly but could create new life, the women of Giant Mountain, who are courted for their strength, Thumbelina, who is able to travel about magically, and many more. In fairy tales, certain magic objects have transportive and sensory abilities that are apt metaphors for body, such as magic leaf, magic carpet, cloud. Sometimes cloaks, shoes, shields, hats, and helmets give the power of invisibility, superior strength, far vision, and so forth. Their archetypal kith and kin. Each enables the physical body to enjoy deepened insight, hearing, flight, or protection of some sort of both physical, psyche, and soul. Before the invention of carriages, coaches, chariots, before the domestication of animals for hauling and riding, it appears the motive that represents the sacred body was the magical object. Articles of clothing, amulets, talisman, and other objects, when related to us in a certain way, transported the person across the river or the world. The magic carpet is an excellent symbol of the sensory and psychic value of the natural body. Fairy tales in which the flying carpet motif appears mimic the not very conscious attitude toward body in our own culture. The magic carpet is at first thought to be quite ordinary and without much value. But for those who seat themselves in the dense pile and say, "Arise," the carpet instantly trembles, rises a bit, hovers, and then zoom, away it flies, transporting the rider to a different place, center, viewpoint, knowing. The body, through its states of arousal, awareness, and sensory experiences, such as listening to music, for instance, or hearing a loved one's voice, or smelling a certain fragrance, has the ability to transport us elsewhere. In fairy tales, as in mythos, the carpet signifies a form of locomotion, but of a certain kind, the kind that enables us to see into the world and into the underlife as well. In the Middle Eastern stories, it is a vehicle for spirit flight of the shamans. The body is no dumb thing for which we struggle to free ourselves. In proper perspective, it is a rocket ship, a series of atomic clover leaves, a tangle of neurological umbilicali to other worlds and experiences. In addition to the magic carpet, there are other symbols for the body. One story in particular illustrates 3. This tale was given to me by Fatah Kelly. It is simply called The Tale of the Magic Carpet. In it, a sultan sends 3 brothers to search for the finest object on earth. Whichever brother is deemed to have found the ultimate treasure will win an entire kingdom. One brother searches and brings back an ivory wand through which one can see into whatever one wishes. One brother brings back an apple whose smell can cure any affliction. The third brother brings back a magic carpet that can transport a person anywhere simply by thinking of the place. So, which is the greater? Asked the Sultan. The ability to see far, the ability to hear and recover, or the ability for spirit flight? By turn, each brother glorifies the object he has found. Yet the Sultan finally waves his hand and proclaims, none of these is greater than the other. For without one, the other would be of no use. And the kingdom is given in equal shares to each brother. Embedded in this tale are potent images that allow us to imagine what a true aliveness of body really is. The tale, and others like it, describe the fabulous powers of intuition, insight, sensory healing, and the rapture hidden in the body. We tend to think of the body as this other that does its thing somewhat without us, and that if we treat it right, it will make us feel good. Many people treat their bodies as if the body is a slave, or perhaps even treat it well, but demand it follow their wishes and whims as though it were a slave nonetheless. Some say the soul informs the body, but what if we were to imagine for a moment that the body informs the soul, helps it adapt to mundane life, pairs, translates, gives the blank page, the ink, and the pen with which the soul can write upon our lives? Suppose, as in fairy tales of the shape changers, the body is a god in its own right, a teacher, a mentor, a certified guide. Then what? It is wise to spend a lifetime chastising this teacher who has so much to give and teach. Do we wish to spend a lifetime allowing others to detract from our bodies, judge them, find them wanting? Are we strong enough to refute the party line and listen deep, listen true to the body as a powerful and holy being? The idea in our culture of body solely as sculpture is wrong. Body is not marble. That is not its purpose. Its purpose is to protect, contain, support, and fire the spirit and soul within. To be a repository for memory, to fill us with feeling. That is the supreme psychic nourishment. It is to lift us and propel us. To fill us with a feeling to prove that we exist, that we are here, to give us grounding, heft, weight. It is wrong to think of it as a place we leave in order to soar to spirit. The body is the launcher of those experiences. Without body, there would be no sensations of crossing thresholds. There would be no sense of lifting, no sense of height, weightlessness. All that comes from the body is a rocket launcher. In its nose capsule, the soul looks out the window into the mysterious star night and is dazzled. And that really brought it home for me that this grasping for the ultimate outside physique and body is such a sad and illusionary distraction from the beauty and the purpose and the magic and the fire that is already existing and waiting for our acknowledgement, for our observation of it. And I believe strongly that a combination of looking at our behaviors and deciding who we wish to become, and then outlining the behaviors that are going to actually, realistically get us there, the actions that are going to get us there, are going to be the most important thing we do in a day. And that we continue to tune in to the soul to understand if we have outgrown that action, if we are ready to pay someone else to perform that action, if we are ready to evolve from that action. And maybe we're hitting resistance and it's not changing and the current is getting bigger, and we surrender and let go of that part of life, be it a relationship, a business idea, an identity, a way of being. Another really cool thing I heard from a preacher the other day on YouTube was how an analogy of really having no control. So he was talking of children and how for children, you want to, point them in the right direction, but they are like arrows and they are the arrow. So you pull them back and you point them in the right direction. And when you let go, that is all you have to do. And that's all you can do. Because once they leave the bow and they are soaring high in the sky, there's no controlling what will happen or where they will actually land. And wherever they land eventually is going to be the best place for them to land so that they can see their life and take what has been given to them and make choices from that place. Instead of trying to control every little thing and feel like they have no choice, or that they are victims, or that there's nowhere else for them to go or to grow, because it's not true. And it's life without challenge, without persevering obstacles, moments as horrifying as they can become. That is a part of it. That is the overcoming of. And it takes your vision, your desire, that one motivation that is going to fuel you before you hit rock bottom, so that crisis isn't the thing that fuels you and then wrecks your nervous system and then wrecks how you go about life. If you can just have your time to sit with self and truly grab on to what that is for you, that big motivational piece that's going to get you through the hard times, that's going to get you when you've outgrown the mentor or the leader, that's going to push you further and further. Without it, we do not have a starting place. And then comes in our non-negotiable values. Then comes in how we balance our life with the working out and the working in. For every hour of working out, you want to work in. So if you wake up and you get after it for 5 hours in the workplace, and then you go work out for an hour, gift yourself the second half of the day to rest and digest, to calm down, to go to the hot yoga class, to read a book, to take a nap, to eat really healthy, delicious food, to learn what to cook. And that is how I believe we get through the hardest and most complicated shifts of personal change. And it's really going all in, and it's really believing it's going to happen, and it's really acting like it's happening in the moment. Because if you want to lose 30 pounds, it's not going to happen on the first day. Yet if you act like you are losing 30 pounds every day, what does that person who weighs 30 less pounds do? What do they do? What does the billionaire do? What does the actress do? What do they do in a day to be ready for what's coming? And do that. If I can find this part in this book quick, I will read it. But there is a piece in this book of The Woman Who Runs with Wolves that talks about action. And I'm not sure I'll find it. Yeah, I won't find it, but perhaps next week I will have it ready for us. But it talks about how action is the only way through. If you're a writer and you have writer's block, guess what you do? You don't go meditate, and you do not go run 10 miles, and you do not go shopping, or you do not aggressively clean the floor with a toothbrush. You sit down and you write. And you write and you write until you get in your flow. If you are, that's going to be my example for you. Action. So today is a taste of what's to come. And I will be continuing to do podcast interviews with other pioneers and experts in the areas that I talked about: health, nutrition, cycles, becoming one with the land again, etc. And I hope you enjoyed. And I hope that this message has been powerful for you. And I hope how much I believe in you, and how I hope that you believe in yourself, like that child who was let go of, and that your arrow has landed in the best place for you, because no one else has your journey, has your body, has your intuition, has your mind, has anything that you have to offer. No twin, no quadruplets, no genetic identity similarity will make you the same as anyone else. You are you, and confusion and anxiety can be overcome by loving your journey and where you're at, and trusting that you know what you need, that you are not a helpless hog in the pig pen, that you have opposable thumbs, and that you have the courage that you can muster up, that if you detach and disassociate from emotion for a mere 20 seconds, you can change your life. And if you just research, or if you dive in to the intricacies of what you actually need to do, and you give yourself that time, the 10 minutes, the 5 minutes, you can do it. And aspire to be the person who aspires others. Because motivation will burn out, but aspiration does not. Thank you so much for being here, for being on Earth at this time. You are needed. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll catch you next week. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Please consider leaving a 5-star review, following along on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out the video version on YouTube, and come hang out with me on Threads. We are making an impact together every single day that we stand up and we share, we learn, and we thrive.